Sure. Everything regarding tonight's meeting and future meetings can be found at rockridgepublicschools.org, or tonight's agenda is over there by the door. I would ask everyone to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Service tonight. There are lots of people here.
I know.
Let the record reflect that we have our complete board is here
this week.
Okay. At this time, is there any agenda additions that you'd like to add?
Yes, the Buildings and Grounds Committee would like the board to add the topic of discussion of the 1404 building.
And where would we want to put that?
It's a discussion item, so wherever the board would like to put it.
The board, or would you like to put that item?
Under superintendent or,
We can.
yeah.
So we'll just do 5.3.2. Okay. Okay, is there any other items?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I will second it. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we have visitor input. I do believe Janine Bauman wants to speak in place of Jill Clennon.
Jill Clement, yes,
Okay.
Just an FYI, 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3
Got
minutes.
3 minutes.
from when I start speaking.
Yep.
I've practiced and timed it, and I'm good.
All right.
Oh,
Wait till.
there we go. Get the wide angle lens.
Welcome, Janine.
I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of the Education Minnesota Rockridge Local 7394. At the June 12th school board meeting, a Rockridge teacher shared an example of a strategy she uses in her classroom. This strategy helps to build relationships and to practice dealing with conflict. Rockridge teachers, we are passionate about our students and about what we do. We also know that as we work towards developing a world-class education, there will be questions and concerns. Teachers need to know that the school board will treat us with professionalism, respect our experience and expertise, and be committed to collaborating with us to find the best programs for students. The Center for Public Education, which was developed by the National School Board Association, released a study in 2019 that found, quote, effective school boards have a collaborative relationship with staff and the community. They engage both internal and external stakeholders in setting and achieving district goals, end quote. It sometimes feels like the school board is engaging with external stakeholders, such as the community, but not so much internal stakeholders, such as teachers. The study also found that in high-achieving schools, quote, board members have crafted a working relationship with teachers based on mutual respect, cooperation, and a joint commitment to student success, end quote. Rockridge teachers are undoubtedly committed to student success, but when teachers are not supported, both privately and publicly, it does erode the sense of mutual respect and cooperation. We have moved and are still moving into new buildings that are designed for teaching and learning differently. We are being asked to try different things, to give students experiences in both leadership and failure. In order to do that, teachers need to be able to build relationships not just with students, but between students. We need to know that we can collaborate with the school board for the resources we need and trust the school board will have our backs. That is why we invite you into our classrooms and into our hallways. We welcome respectful discussion and collaboration. We want to feel that the teachers and the school board are working together to do what's best for the Rockridge kids. We know there will be bumps as we work towards a world-class education. Your trust in us as a professional, highly educated teaching staff can help smooth the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Up next, we have Jessica Hansen. Jessica, you got 3 minutes. Okay.
My name is Jessica Hansen. I'm a parent and district resident. My comments are on the June 12th meeting. I am highly concerned the board hold for discussion the GSA Club. Information provided during visitor input was unvetted, yet was given validity to delve into a discussion well beyond the agenda item at hand. A more interesting discussion would be if the board members had to divulge the groups they are affiliated with and how those affiliations impacted the GSA Club discussion. The covert discrimination towards the club and its members was apparent well before the superintendent pleaded with the board more than once to understand the consequences of the discussion. Those who remain silent are as complicit as those who voice concerns about the club. As a parent of a queer teen, the board's comments and lack of attempts to stop the inappropriate discussion early on are proof that not only is this district unwelcoming, but unsafe for the queer community. Also, the grandstanding by board members wishing to not participate in Ms. Davison-Teff's restorative classroom exercise was abhorrent. It is clear the comments were made to cause humiliation and implied the practices are harmful to students. What is also clear is Ms. Davison-Teff is a caring and loving teacher who guides her students through their day by nurturing relationships and a sense of community. What I need you to understand, it's okay to disagree. It's okay to be different. But everyone has a right to feel safe and to be safe regardless of what others think. You can still be respectful. You can still allow others to speak without fear of outbursts and personal attacks. The school board should acknowledge when board members' comments and behavior leave kids, groups of people, and even presenters to the board feeling less than. Embracing change, diversity, equity, inclusion will lead to growth. Not doing so, things will remain stagnant or dwindle. Rockridge, you can do better. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else want to speak on anything on tonight's agenda?
Does that include what's been talked about in just now? Or is that past?
How's the board want to handle?
Well, our policy is now you can speak on whatever topic you choose.
Okay. All right.
So,
Frank got his hand up first. Come up, Frank. Got 3 minutes.
I don't know what was discussed at your building and grounds committee meeting today. I wasn't there. No.
No.
Make all the plans you want to make for the 1404 and 1402 building, the city of Evlith is a no. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Frank. Anybody else like to speak about Maxine?
Well, I just want to say that when you are talking about the SMART program, if you wanted to ask me any questions, would that be okay? I don't know what your policy is, but I know this was just brought to my attention, so I was just going to say, I hope you approve it, but if you have any questions, I'm here
Okay.
when you're considering it. I don't know if I can speak while you're doing that, but I'm here.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Maxine. Anybody else like to speak? Mr. Upford.
Do you,
Want to come up to the?
come on up.
I was here for the board meeting that's been discussed quite a bit tonight, and I wanted to, as long as the GSA was brought up, I wanted to address it. I know at the last board meeting, there were members talking about the GSA as a political entity. What are their motives? There's stickers on doors, there's stickers on windows. I can tell you 5-6 years ago, I had some students approach me with a piece of paper that had a rainbow flag on it that said, "Safe space to Mr. Uppard. We put this on your door." And I said, "Sure." And over the years, somebody added "very safe space." And then I had a couple of kids come to me and say, "Mr. Uppard, could we get a group together where we could just come and talk and hang out and not be afraid and feel welcomed? And I said, sure, let's give it a shot. I talked to the principal and she said, absolutely. And the GSA, as a political group, no. The GSA was students coming to a teacher saying, hey, can we have a place to hang out where we're not worried about what's going to happen to us? So one board member said, why can't we have all safe spaces? That would be awesome, but that's not the way it is. And it's just not. And when I'm in the hallway and when my coworkers are in the hallway, they're not doing these things to these students that are a member of this community. They're not doing them in front of us. So what was the GSA to me and the students that I work with? It was a time for them to come to my room, sit down, laugh, do some role playing. We did some improv comedy things. We did some improv acting things. We just had fun, talked. That was it. There's no political agenda. It's not a political group. We just want our students to feel welcome, all of them. And if you have any other questions, please ask. I'm one of the teachers that wear a rainbow lanyard. And if that's an issue, I'd like to hear about it now. If anybody has a question. Everybody's okay with the GSA and nobody has any questions about ulterior motives or anything?
I'm fine.
Okay.
It's not a question answer time.
Oh, what?
I said it's not a question answer time per our policy.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
There be anybody else like to speak?
Todd, thank you for being a safe place.
Yes.
Thorson?
I really didn't come to speak tonight, but as long as Todd stood up, I want to know that I've been the GSA advisor for the last 23 years at the Virginia High School. This is the first year that I asked to be paid. I have over 25 senior high students in my GSA, and I have over 30 in my junior high. And I would guess anybody who runs a club can tell you that is pretty high. I personally think Rockridge should be an open, inviting environment for everybody, and Todd's right, it isn't. However, we don't need a sign, a gay, straight, safe spot in our school, because it should be a given that every place in that school is safe for everybody. So we don't need those signs up. It's great if you want to wear rainbow stuff, but I think people should be respecting each other for their inherent worth and dignity across the board.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else like to speak? Okay, with that being said, we're going to move along with the agenda. Okay, item 4, can I get motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
By Director Reardon, support by Director Lotiger. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, Treasurer's Report. Ms. Culver-Dahl, you got anything to report?
But, okay, do we go past 4.2 or,
That's part of the
Part of the
consent
consent agenda.
agenda.
sorry. I have to make it bigger.
Okay.
What do you have? Yeah, okay. Okay, Treasurer's Report, bank balances as of June 30th, 2023. In our checking savings account, we at Miners National Bank, we have $4,519,947. Branson Bank, we have $2,988,423. First National Gilbert, we have $1,617,554. In Minnesota Trust, PMA Securities, we have $699,776. And Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Funds, we have $324,000. $109 with a total balance of $10,149 $149,810. Construction bond funds, Ellers Investment Partners, we have a balance of $12,836,399. In the OPEB funds, we have a balance in the Minnesota Trust PMA Securities of $9,075,010. In Mid-America, we have $5,112,500. I can't do this. $5,112,551 with a total balance of $14,187,561. Here ends the treasurer's report.
Very good. Can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented?
I'll make the motion.
I second it.
Director Yuhan, supported by Director Westby. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5.2 Rockridge Staff Survey.
So members of the school board, what you have in front of you earlier in the year, the staff, this includes AFSCME, this includes the teachers, this includes everyone. They took a survey, and I remember being up here and I said that we would show you the results of the survey. So here are the results of the survey. So what you have in front of you, the results of the survey. And what does this mean? I've also included an email that there's a group of individuals who are volunteering their time. They're looking at the results of the survey. You need to know this to see what should we do. Okay, we took the survey. Here are the results of the survey. Now what? And there's admin on it. There's teachers on it. There's AFSCME members on it. They're still recruiting members. So they've met. They've looked at the survey results, and they filter down some important key areas, because we do want this to be a safe place not only for students but also for staff, and we want this to be a healthy environment for everyone. It just goes a lot better for everyone. And so you can see some of the areas, and they're still working, so they're not done, but I want to keep you updated on what they're talking about, and it's important to look at the larger areas they're looking at. One area they're looking at is time. How is community ed being offered for Rock Ridge? Now this goes into cooking classes, eating healthy. There's some interest there. Interest in the spring break always comes up. Now the list that I'm showing you, they're going to narrow it down. So not all these things are necessarily going to happen, but some of them will and a lot of them will. Space, they're also asking for space in buildings for the staff. Sometimes things happen and you just need to just clear your head. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's just good. You just need to walk away and just do that for a little bit. So you're healthy back to help work with the kids and other staff. They also are asking about time to debrief after things happen. Our city, we have kids. It's essentially each one of our building is a city. Things happen, so they're asking for time to debrief when things happen in a building. They're also asking for more communication, more direct communication. They're talking about newsletters, communications about wellness, highlighting the great things that staff are doing. Sometimes we hear the things that we think aren't going right. There's a lot of great things going on that you just don't hear about. And we have a lot of staff doing some great things. So how can we help highlight them? New staff, how can we welcome them with updates, and so everyone feels welcome, part of the Rock Ridge family? How are we connected? Asking, is there some way we can do wellness activities where people can do different things, a variety of different activities, so we have a well staff. Also, how do we offer opportunities for staff to collaborate, get together? Work is done. Okay, can we have some social time where we don't have kids around us? How do we organize some of that? In addition to student behavior, and especially the high school, because we have 2 high schools coming together, 2 new staffs, 2 new kids. How do we work for a general student behavior intervention plan flow chart? Like what happens if a kid repeatedly, it doesn't work. The normal things we're doing just don't work. They would like a little more answers on that and support on that. Also talking about school resource support for students. What supports can we give kids? So rather than just sending them home, how can we help kids so they can thrive and survive and do well in our school? So information on that, which includes social workers, mental health. You can see some of the lists here, chemical dependency here, because if you look at the survey, you can tell there's some astonishing data that many people don't think about. And keep in mind, our results were similar to other area schools' results. There's not really glaringly different, the statistics slide, but I mean, you take a look at some of those stats, and we've got kids who, 20% of our kids, they've had a parent in jail. They have a parent who uses. That's 1 out of every 5 of our kids before the teachers even meet them, before the teachers get to work with them. Well, that causes issues. And so how do we work with kids who have those kind of experiences? More on wellness, you can see what opportunities do we have. We do have an employee assistance program. It's through our health insurance. They'd like a little more information on how, so they can access it. We don't know who accesses it. That's all private, confidential. Quarterly checks, they're asking on rooms for breastfeeding staff. That's important. They're asking, can we have an area? In addition to recognition, can we recognize staff, do a better job with new staff into the buildings? Do we have some kind of district recognition for people who are doing beyond what they normally do to be recognized? And there's some ideas there you can see. When we're doing professional development, they're asking for some time for wellness, stress management, coping skills, because it's just like in an airplane. When something happens in the airplane, they say secure your oxygen mask first, then help your kids. Well, we need effective teachers, we need effective staff, because they're working directly with our kids. So this is a summary of where they were in mid-May. They were going to narrow this down, and they were going to get back to us, and they're working. We do have a few funds from the service co-op to help do this survey. So we'll be working with the committee on where this goes and how they want to do it. But I wanted to update the board so you know and know what's happening and could see the results of this survey.
So on 5.2, we're basically just accepting the results of the survey as is.
Yes.
Okay, so can I get a motion to accept?
Are we having discussion?
After we get a motion. Motion to accept the survey?
I'll second.
So moved.
Oh, Reardon, and then Coverall. Any discussion?
Yes, sorry. As a member of the Meet and Confer Committee, is that something that, because it sounds like more communication is wanted, and from what I read in the results, that's something that teachers and AFSCME staff would like. Is it possible that we schedule Meet and Confer meetings, each quarter, or one in the fall, one in the winter, one in the spring, just to kind of meet and talk about what's going on in the schools and things?
And this
can do.
Many of these topics did come up in Meet and Confer also, so yes. In fact, we are supposed to have more than one Meet and Confer meeting a year, so I will talk to the teacher leadership. I believe they will be very happy to, I don't want to speak for the teachers, but I believe they will be very happy to have that kind of a setup, meet a little more often.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a question. What happens now if someone needs to breastfeed or pump, not breastfeed, but pump? What happens? Where do they go? Is there any,
In the new buildings, we have a spot where they can go. If you're in an older building, they look for a room that nobody is using, or they go to the car, or they go somewhere else.
And they lock the door, and let me tell you that it's kind of an embarrassing situation when you got the door locked and somebody comes with a key because they figure, well, no one's in there.
Right.
Yeah, can be an embarrassing situation.
Absolutely.
Any more discussion on 5.2? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5.3, superintendent, the administrative changes.
This one is on there, and I put it under the superintendent report because you don't need to act on it. But I hear, and people have asked me, I think this is a very fair question for people to ask. We have had some cuts in the last 2 years, actually, and there could be some more coming up next year, as you know. One thing that comes up is, have there been admin cuts? Have there been any admin cuts? What's happened here? So what I did, I put together a sheet you can see in front of it. And some of this we had kind of told people that this was going to happen when the two districts came together consolidated. So you can see on here in the old Evelyn Gilbert district, now this is not principal group. These are, I call them the admin group. And you can see who they are: activities directors, business directors, buildings and grounds, school business coordinator, superintendent. So you can see that when the two districts were separate, there actually were a total of 11 positions. Well, actually there was 10. And then when we became one, then we added the fundraiser, the Willie Spells. So there really were 11 at the very early stages. 10 from the two districts came together, and then there was, including Willie moving the fundraiser, there were 11. What's happened since that time? We now have 7 positions down there, and we have a superintendent, 2 activity directors, a business director, buildings and grounds custodial supervisor, a transportation director, and a school business coordinator. Then you can see in red there the positions that are no longer in existence. So I asked Spencer to take a look at this and put the numbers, since we don't have those positions, how much money has the board saved. And so you can see what Spencer came up with. He's got $490,000 because we have 4 positions. They're just simply not there compared to what they used to. So this is just more of an update to the board as what's happened over the years on the admin side of the equation. Any questions? Pat?
All right, move on to 5.3.
Yep, the other thing, 1404 building. We've talked about the 1404 building. We've had a twist. And we talked about in the buildings and grounds, and they said, let's bring it to the full school board so you know. Because you've already said, let's engage VEDA about the 1404 building. Well, what's happened in the recent past is the Northland Learning Center, who is currently renting the James Madison building in the old Virginia district, they are looking at the 1404 building. And they are going to try to buy the 1404 building. There was a meeting they had where they voted to engage IRRR, VEDA, about they need different space. In addition to that, because of legislative changes to laws, we weren't the only group who was successful at the legislature. They changed a law which allows for taconite dollars to get redirected. They could very well receive $10 million from IRRR via the mining taxes for something. Upgrade something, buy something. That's why they're looking at the 1404. Because from certain people's perception, it makes sense because we're up here, and if the Northland Learning Center were there, we got all different schools involved up here, so it makes sense to some people. It does create problems for us. The most obvious problem it creates is we might have another old vacant building down the road in 2 years. Because if they buy the building, they're working with ICS, and they're telling me a year and a half, 2 years to remodel that building. One, we could have another empty older building. Second issue it does create for us, we were looking at that for a parking area for when there are athletic events at the football stadium, et cetera, or for parking during the day. So I've talked to everyone and said, look, if this thing goes through, we need that parking lot. We need to come up with some kind of a deal or arrangement so during activities like football games, track meets, things that are right there, if the NLC does buy it and they're not there, can we use the parking lot? So I think we need to work something out that way. The other thing, there's some small parcels of land that are associated with the 1404 building that we would like to acquire. So I'm letting them know that we need to acquire those if indeed Learning Center does do that. And also in addition to that, can we 50 to 100 parking spaces during the day? It'd be really nice for us to have them so we can use them during the day. That may not be a problem because the NLC, if they buy the building, they only use 75 parking spots if everybody's there. And I counted them out there, there's 200 plus out there. So we would need to work something out with that. Now, you've told me that we want to negotiate for the 1404 building, and I guess I just would be interested in your thoughts on this. Do you want us to keep talking about the 1404 building? Do you want us to take a step back and let the Northland Learning Center work with IRRR and VEDA on the building? The Buildings and Grounds Committee met. They said bring it to this group because they thought you would want to discuss this and have a say as far as what you thought we should do, as far as negotiating or not negotiating.
If it's not for sale, as an individual just said, how can NLC buy it if it's not for sale?
Officially, it's not for sale, but unofficially it is.
So it's not for sale to us as a school district?
No, that's not what
Okay.
VEDA and IRRR are saying.
Okay, I'm just,
Because VEDA and IRRB are the ones that are making those decisions?
Those are the true decision makers, yes.
Okay.
I had talked to Vida too, and they were, interested in working with us. So it seemed good. I think all know my opinion. I still think that's a valuable piece of
Right.
property, and I feel like we should acquire it. I think it makes complete sense. And what about the busing garage? Would they lease space for us, or are they gonna use the whole building?
Well, there's another thing. You would not have it as a transportation hub. They would use the whole building. So what we would have to do, we just have to keep the buses in Gilbert, keep the buses in Evelyn for a while until we figured it out and found maybe a different spot. Maybe there's a place at the base of the hill across from Summerland or something, or we just keep 2 southern bus garages, or depending what happens with the Evelyn site, maybe you tell me you want to put a bus garage there somewhere. But yeah, yes, it does create an issue for the transportation and the buses.
for the city of Evelyn, because they would still own that road if they sold it to the NLC. So, I mean, they want to get out of the maintenance of that road from White Pine up to the school.
Well, yes, thank you, Bill, I'm trying to keep this simple. But yes, there's another, because there's a part of a road. Welcome to the bizarre world of roads in this area. So from Slumberland up that road, Progress Parkway, to about White Cedar Drive, that is, as of this minute, owned by the city of Evelyn. They're going to swap that with St. Louis County, and eventually St. Louis County will own that road. The next segment of road from that point up to where we own the road to the high school, that is owned by VEDA. That parcel of road, and I think I can say this, nobody really wants to own it. So we're going to have to work through with that as far as who's going to own that little section of road, how it's going to work. It's just kind of a quirky, bizarre type of situation.
My concern is, it makes sense to have everything in this area. That I see that. But fiscally, how can we do this? how can we put money into a building when we don't have enough money to provide new buses? You know, we only have, so where is that money going to legitimately come from? Are we going to be able to close up some other areas where buses are being held? And that will facilitate the purchase on this building? How will all those things work?
I'm glad you asked that. Welcome to the world of many, many moving parts. Since the school board approved the 13.5 million bond, and the Buildings and Grounds Committee also talked about this, trying to prioritize, and this will come back to the full school board. Nothing's going to happen without the full school board's approval. One possibility is you do have the money, depending what your priorities are, where you could buy it, turn it into a transportation hub and use it for busing. Part of it's going to determine, and the Buildings and Grounds Committee, when they met at noon today, their recommendation was that demolition was important and that we start with that first. And then I had them rank, tier things down, which was more important and which was less important. If we acquire that building for a transportation, we could be bidding against the NLC, and it could be up to the IRRR and the EDA as far as who they sell it to. But we would need to move some money, some of the bonding money would have to be moved to change that into a transportation hub. And that decision would come here to the full board.
I understand, though, that the 1404 building is clear of all liens, and that, so I'm not sure what role IRRB plays in the 1404 building. And it's just the VEDA, because they might have still an interest on the 1402 building, but not the 1404 building.
It's not clear of all liens as far as I was told.
Me too. I didn't think it was clear either.
It's clear of federal liens, but not local liens.
Right.
Okay, federal. I thought, okay.
Yep.
So what part of that was transferred from 1404 to 14?
Federal,
Just the federal, okay. So are you saying IRRB has a lien on it too?
yes.
I thought it was like 600,000. Am I correct on that, or?
It's around there.
Yeah.
It's very clear to me you are negotiating with VEDA, but also IRRR is involved. And keep in mind, the city of Evelyn and the city of Virginia, they do have a say in this.
So at one point, we voted to a committee. I know for sure you were on that committee to negotiate. Who else was it?
Me?
You.
Yeah.
So did we ever do anything? Do we ever meet?
We met and we had a lot of questions for them. They had some questions for us, and he said that we would meet again. And
I wasn't at that meeting. But I think that we should go hard to negotiate this building.
Absolutely.
With or without the city of Evelyn.
I think so.
Because I know Virginia, after speaking with an official from the city of Virginia today, they want to get out of VEDA. They want to disband it. And the only way they're going to get out of it is if they sell those two buildings. Because they want VEDA to go away.
yeah, you asked the question of earlier, should we still get in and negotiate with? I think we should.
Mm-hmm.
Until they tell us they don't want us to buy the building, we should be in pursuit of it.
I think that's what I think too.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So Noel, at one point you talked about the ALC being part of that building, 1404. So now is the NLC just looking for, is that still part of a possible scenario? Or it's the NLC and the ALC right now at the James Madison, right?
Correct.
And so we don't really have an agreement yet. And probably the whole board of superintendents would have to make that decision. So then would they even need that big of a building if we absorbed, or even if we ran one on our own?
Welcome to the world of additional complexity. The short answer is they can fit them all in there. They're currently the learning center kids. They can fit them in there. They might have to build out in the back or the side a little ways. And that's going to take it above 10 million. So the real price is going to be closer to 13 to 15 million, which means that, and I'll get you the numbers here, I just don't have them right in front of it, is that in order to do that, we as a member would need to vote to lease levy for part of the
Expansion.
building cost to do that. So, and if the NLC does that, we belong to the NLC, and so I can see this coming to you. They can fit them there. They're telling me they can fit them there. ICS, the Krause Anderson equivalent, who's working with them, they're saying they can fit with them, but they might need to build out a little bit. And if the Learning Center goes there for the NLC, yes, that would change our viewpoint on what we would probably do.
Now, I don't know if it's current. I know at one time, the reason why they have not done anything with the James Madison building is that St. Louis County is maxed out on their bonding.
That's an issue, Tim. Thank you for adding another layer of complexity here. They are. So their situation is a little different than the other schools who belong to the Learning Center.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean,
So I'm hearing continue talking, try to set up another meeting
Yes.
with Vita, because we ended the last meeting and it was, we were going to wait until they got back with us.
Right.
They haven't gotten back with us, so I will contact them tomorrow.
We just have to keep in mind that the city of Evelyn is half of that marriage too, not just the city council of Virginia, so.
Okay, that's all I have for the superintendent's
all
report.
right, so we're going to go to administrative items.
Oh, we have a,
Oh,
We just did that to add
We
on.
did it,
Oh,
we just
yeah.
did it.
okay.
Good catch, Tim.
okay, item 6, administrative items, consider approval for quote for new Rock Ridge choir robes. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
By Culver Dahl,
Support.
support by Director Yuhan. Any questions? All those in favor signify by, wait.
Which one?
Quote, which quote would you guys?
I think you might want to have we have an expert
Mr.
here.
Mr. Craig, could you step up and tell us your recommendations for which quote we should?
I have another quote, but I have more complexities.
Oh,
That's the theme of the night, right?
We're used to that.
that's something to hand out then?
Yeah, it's just it's a fourth quote in the notes I sent to you in your document. I just mentioned another company that hadn't gotten me a quote yet. Well, this morning they got me a quote. My recommendation
Make sure the board members get one.
is still
Number one.
number one,
Okay.
the Thomas Creative.
Thank you.
So I have 4 quotes for you from 4 different companies or 4 different levels of producers. Rank them in order, and they go by order of cost as well. The more you spend, the higher the quality they are, the longer they're going to last. To put it in a frame of reference, the robes that we just disbanded, the acapella choir robes in Virginia, we had for 25 years. They're from the company that's the Thomas, and they could have lasted another 10 years if they were blue, which we're not going to have blue robes. So they last a long time. It's a big investment. If you go cheaper, they're going to you have to repurchase them in a short amount of time. It's a simple equation. So my recommendation is the Thomas Creative Apparel. They've been really great to work with, super easy. Their customer service is top notch, and their quality is known around the country. So that's my recommendation.
I don't know choir robes, but I would trust you with the recommendation.
I'm happy to answer questions if you have about the process or what they are.
Questions for
How long does it take once you order to get them?
So we are going to, in a little bit of a tight timeline, our first big performance is in November, which is at a state convention, which is kind of a big deal. But I've been told by my contact at Thomas that we order them by the end of July, that will be in time by the end of October. So it's about 14 week turnaround, but yeah, they're making each one by hand, so.
Okay, any more questions for Matt?
We have the motion and a second, but it should be.
With the quote.
It should, which quote, if they should change it.
Okay, that we accept quote number 1.
All right, so a motion by Culver Dahl and support by Director Yuhan to accept quote number 1.
And could we just include the amount there in that?
In the amount,
Just the
the amount of $31,080. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 6.2, consider the elementary.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Consider the elementary smart programming and staffing. We all saw Maxine's performance, or not performance, her demonstration. Presentation. I'm in complete support of your program. Okay, if that's just me.
You're making a motion.
I will make
I second it.
I will make a motion to support. I will make the motion and the support by Director Westby. All those in favor, or any
Wait,
discussion?
what does this mean? Consider, what does this mean? Consider the program and staffing? Like, is it expanding it? It's just,
I think that we would like to keep it.
You want to keep it?
it's just keeping it, not expanding it or anything?
That's what
Okay.
it is.
But the
What's
follow-up
the
question
cost?
would be, for me, is just how does it impact,
Budget.
budget and other employees and.
So here's how this would work. It was part of the budget reduction recommendation. If you would like to pull that out and tell me, yes, I want it to go this year, we'll just have to, next budget cycle, we'll just have to take a look at it and see where we're at for that. But I know that it's on the agenda. I just need you to tell me, yes, we want Maxine, we want her to do the elementary smart program like she did last year, or no, I don't want Maxine to do the elementary smart program like she did last year. I just need a yes or no.
We got motion by Eddie, support by Director Westby on 6.2. Any other?
I just, one thing, one discussion, because it's only in Laurentian right now. So that would be, I love the program. I loved what you brought to the table and what you showed us. I was really excited about it, but I wish it was in the other buildings. And I think you said maybe Parkview was learning some techniques or.
Parkview had, can I speak?
Yep.
Yes, you do.
All right. As far as I know and what I've seen, several of the teachers, when we had the $25,000, went through the training. And some of them are doing in their classroom, they have a couple of smart rooms. Yes, we do it differently, but we have it in both. Now, I have, when I started this way back 10 years ago, we were not two districts, okay? And so this is the way I did it. I feel like we are just at the beginning of stages of looking at how are we going to facilitate the two. I know how I have worked it over there, and it works well for us. I'm not so sure if Virginia would want, or not Virginia, we're all together. I'm not sure they would want me doing it that way over there, but they are doing it. Teachers are doing it, they've been trained, some are doing it in their classroom. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it.
Yeah, I just feel like there should be a collaboration, so we're all.
I agree.
All one district now, so it should be more uniform.
Maybe have a meeting to,
Whole idea.
I think if you choose to keep the program, that was one thing we were working on. I was even coming into her room and looking at what she's done. She's called me, what can we do? How can we work together? And we, formulate, you can, if you want to.
so you guys are already doing that.
So it's a matter of how you want to do this.
Right, okay.
But if you say no to it, then it pretty much goes away. And I'm very willing to work with Parkview in any manner, but we do it one way. They were just getting trained, and you just don't, it's not a program. I've been doing it probably for 25 years. It's not a program you just train 3 days and you got it. You've got to work and keep working. I think we're at a great spot. We had a great year last year when it was crazy with the changes going into the Laurentian. And I'm willing to work with any teacher over there if they want the same thing or they want to continue to do it differently.
Thank you.
One other question I have, and so if we retain this program, if we hadn't and we had cut it, wasn't Maxine going to be assigned into an interventionist person? So now do we have to take on do we have to hire another interventionist?
We will work with the principals to find a solution for the intervention position. Yes.
Okay, but would that solution be another person hired?
As I'm sitting here right now, I don't know, because you have to first, as a school board, tell me what you want to do with the SMART program. Once you tell me yes or no, then we'll start working with the principals on.
The need for
if
another.
you say yes, how we would fill that.
All right.
Okay, any more discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 6.3, consider approval of child and adult care program renewal for contract vended meals for 2023. Motion? Burden, supported by Addie. Any discussion?
I was just wondering about, we've been talking about the farm to table stuff and a little bit more options. Are we still pursuing that?
I meant to bring
Yes.
that up today too,
Yeah.
buildings and grounds
Yep.
as a list.
And how would it impact this contract?
So one is that is part of your strategic plan, and Spencer Ani was looking at the costing of that, and he's not ready to give you the report back. So as of this minute, this would be, I guess you can assume it would be as it was last year.
So we're just kind of implementing those things gradually, sort of, I suppose, as they come, and the farm to table and that kind of.
Yes, and the most,
Okay.
and as part of that is, how much does it cost? Can you afford it?
Right.
Because since we're having a meeting of complexity here, the fact that kids now have free meals, we're not exactly sure how that's going to work. What if you want to serve a little bit better meals and charge another 5 or 10 cents? Can you even do that? How do we do that? So Spencer's trying to figure all those things out and give you good advice on the financing of how this would work.
Plus, we have the possible greenhouse in there, so we might as well throw that in there too.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah.
This is basically the INAC one, but
Right.
Yes.
AEOC has to be
Yes,
AEOA has to.
correct.
I mean, it's only for 1 year. I mean, and once we get our school moving, I would hope that, we get everything settled down, and we got the minutia going with the new school, that the next fall at this time, we would just look into disbanding and going with our own food service
Could happen.
by that time.
Or some sort of cooperative thing, where we're contracted partially with INAC and partially with, farm to table or whatever the case. I just don't want it to fall to the wayside, because there's a lot of great opportunities, I think, there.
And because you, as a school board, were smart enough to put it in the strategic plan, it's not going to get lost.
So this 38,465, that's the total cost of this on the second page?
Yep.
And then, again, now, how does that tie in with the new law about free lunch, free breakfast and free lunch for everybody through the state and or federal?
This is where you have superintendents and business managers all over the state saying, I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. And they have the same issue that you have. We're not sure yet how all that's going to play out.
Is this based on an estimated amount of children that we've traditionally had? So now if we have to offer it to all children, all students, but we don't know how many are taking it, that's what has to be worked out with how much the federal, is it?
They would adjust it accordingly based upon head count.
So it won't be any more than this?
I don't think it will be.
It probably couldn't, yeah, okay.
Okay, any more discussion on 6.3? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, meeting announcements. Our next regular meeting will be Monday, August 14th, 2023, right here at this building at 6 o'clock. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I
Support.
second.
Okay, all those in favor to adjourn, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Good night, everybody.